Welcome. This is Jay Bassell, and I am excited again, which isn't a shock to anyone. Every time I get to do this, I am excited because this is a great series. And we have our special guest once again, Terry Combs. Terry is a lead trainer at Equipment Zone as well as in sales. He is the man with the plan, and he is, in fact, our expert. Terry, welcome. How are you?
I'm great, Jay. Thanks for having me on yet again for another webinar. I always enjoy doing these, and you and I together get a chance to chit chat for 15 or 20
Yeah,
minutes about a
exactly.
subject that we're both very interested in. So
I love
looking
this
forward to
subject.
this.
Yeah, I love
I do
this
too.
subject. And the fact is, I predict it will probably go into the 30-minute range just because we'll have some great questions. So we want to say hello to everyone who tuned in live. Thank you for joining us. This session is being recorded and you will be able to find it on our YouTube channel soon, usually within 24 hours, but we always give ourselves a little bit of flexibility there. And this is the Ask the Expert series. So Terry, you know what that means? That means one of us is the expert, and you know it's not me.
I was going to say I'm going to flip the tables and start asking you questions, Jay.
Oh, no, you're not. So thank you again for playing that role. It's an important role, and we have a great topic today. So this is the fourth time we've done this, and I think we're on a great string here. Can't wait. We've already talked about future sessions, so that's exciting. But today we want to focus on printing on polyester. And this is a question that, I mean, has to come up every time you have a conversation about DTG printing. Is that a stretch? Am I
Uh,
exaggerating?
You are pretty close. Nearly every conversation, and certainly when we were doing trade shows, every other week or so, one of the primary questions that we get in the trade show booth as well. So, and I'm sure it's not just us. I'm sure that
Oh yeah.
everybody who's involved in direct-to-garment printing is either asking that question or answering that question.
And it's a reasonable question. All of these questions that we present in the Ask the DTG Expert series are reasonable questions, but we
Sure.
have a deeper understanding. We kind of understand why they're asking it, and maybe some of the pieces of the puzzle that they haven't yet thought of, and there could be some deeper levels in a more of a context to support that question. And so that's why this series is important, and that's why you playing the role of the expert, which you're not really playing, you are the expert, is important. So I think it's great to think about, this DTG printer and what an impact DTG printing across the board has made. What about you?
Well, absolutely. It's been revolutionary, and at some point in time in one of these webinars, I'm sure I've mentioned this, but when I saw the very first DTG printer print, what was it now, 17 years ago, I remember turning to Scott Fresner, who many people in this industry know as a guru, as an innovator in the industry. I turned to him and said, "Everything's changed, hasn't it?" And he said, "I believe it has." And certainly not replacing other technologies, but giving an opportunity for a lot of people to enter the industry with not a lot of expertise, and giving us the opportunity in a changing world to be able to meet the needs of those I need it now, I need it custom
Mhm.
customers.
Exactly right. And when you saw that printer 17 years ago, I think I saw mine about 16 and a half years ago, and it was you and Scott inviting me over to and I was like, what the hell is this? Like both amused, worried,
Right.
and impressed because I
That's
could,
right. The screen printers, when they saw the first one, they're like, "Say it ain't so." I just
yeah.
spent 20 years of my life learning to make screens.
Oh my gosh.
Don't change this up on me too much.
Yeah, when I saw the final product, my first reaction was, this isn't fair. Like this isn't fair, because I saw full color print come off of a white t-shirt in under 3 minutes, and I was like, no screens, no nothing, just directly to the printer or directly to the substrate. Blown away. But in that same conversation, this is why I went back in time there. I remember thinking, is there one machine that could print it all? Is there like one, thinking about that? And we hear that a lot. And so I just want printer, one machine that prints everything, right? How often do we
Oh
get
my
that
gosh.
piece?
Yes, that's right. It's that customer who walks up and says, and hey, no, no offense to that customer, because they might possibly very well believe that machine exists, but I want to print T-shirts, I want to print sweatshirts, I want to print coffee mugs, I want to print,
Yeah.
I want to print bumper stickers. Do you have that machine, that one magical machine that does all that? No, no one does. No
Oh
one has
wait,
that machine.
Willy Wonka has it. I think it's at the Wonka factory right now.
It does.
So
Yeah,
that
that's and nobody has the golden ticket to
no
go and
golden tickets allowed. I know. And so we recognize that that's especially if somebody's newer to the industry, a business owner
right.
that maybe came from embroidery or from, some other entrepreneurial, business, that they're not aware of the limitations of some of the
Oh,
printers
sure.
machines. So yeah.
And Jay, they see that XYZ promotional products company offers all those different things. They
Mhm.
must decorate them in some way. So there's no reason not to assume that there would be a machine that could do all those things for you. But the beauty for all of us, though, is something like DTG that's entered the marketplace is just another avenue. It's just another technology we can use to satisfy the needs of our customers. So it's been a beautiful relationship. And way back when Scott Fresler used to tell our screen printing classes, screen printing will be gone in 2 to 3 years. I would come up right behind him before he could get out of the room and say, no, that's not true. This is just going to be another tool, another weapon in our arsenal of decoration methods, and that's played out to be true.
Yeah, it's important. And I think it's also important that people recognize, and I think they do, but I've known you for quite a while. This is one of my favorite reasons to have you on as the expert, and all of the training that you've provided for our industry for years and years and years, is because you're a straight shooter, Terry. I mean, you're not prone to exaggeration like I am. You're not a marketing spin master like I am. You want to see the right answers and the right information, help a business owner make the best decision for his or her situation, and that's a compliment to you, but it's the truth. And I've noticed that, and I can say that before Equipment Zone, and of course now together here we are again. So and that's why this question is so important when we dive into it and we think about, okay, can a DTG printer print on 100% polyester? If that's where we're going to start today, I guess the short answer would be what, Terry?
Yes, no, maybe. That's the answer.
Yes.
And
Okay,
here,
everybody, that's our session for today.
okay, thanks for tuning in. On Thursday, we'll be
No, no, no. We're not
and
letting it off that easy.
Jay, I've had people walk up to me at a trade show before and say, so can your machine print on polyester? And this is what I have to tell them. Okay, here's a little secret about DTG printing. What you can do on one DTG printer, you could do on all DTG printers. Just some do it better than others. What you can't do on one DTG printer, you can't do on any DTG printer. So when someone says, yes, absolutely, you can print poly in my machine, and the next person says, no, absolutely not, you cannot print polyester on any DTG machine, they're both right. And here's why. Can you print it? You can. That's the person over here who says yes. The person over here says no. It says that because it's an extended process. It's probably a result you're not going to be happy with, or your customer's not going to be happy with. So no, you can't do it. And in the middle is the person who says, hey, listen, you can do it. It's going to take some effort. It's going to take some practice, and it's going to be possibly an acceptable result. So, I mean, is that my yes, no, or maybe response? Does that make sense to you think to
Yeah,
everyone?
no, it totally does. I think that's the reality. I think that's the right answer, is the fact that it is possible, but it comes with consequences, or that there could be additional factors to be considered, and you may choose to not want to participate in that. So the truth is yes, it is possible. Yes, we have done it at Equipment Zone, and we have practiced and tested and practiced and tested. And I'm going to be the person to say that I was the first one to be excited that it was going to be a big deal and be possible. Because of course, we all want that breakthrough. Every business owner would. And we have a lot of other materials besides cotton that our clients and our customers are interested in. But Terry, if you remember when we first started testing and practicing, getting the prints on really wasn't it was a little cumbersome, and we'll dive into that. But it was for me personally, it was the wash testing. It was the acceptability of the final product. I just couldn't say yes.
Right. And you know, Jay, this is what people have to understand. All DTG printers use a water-based ink product, and you are trying to adhere a water-based ink to a 100% man-made product, and it's that does not absorb the inks like a cotton absorbs an ink. So, you know, we're starting from the most difficult point that we can start from. And then, you know, everybody got very excited when there was all this buzz. I'm going to say 3 or 4 years ago, Jay, that the buzz really started about polyester pre-treats. And by gosh, I was excited too. You know, when I first started hearing about not only Epson, but a few other companies coming out with polyester pre-treats. But then, you know, the process became cumbersome, as you said, and the washability became questionable. And I think some of us get spoiled, especially Jay, folks that came from the screen printing industry, where you know you put a plastisol print on a garment and you cure it properly. Our friend Wade used to say, who was a screen printer in Seattle, you know, you could lay that shirt in the landfill, and 10,000 years from now, the physical shirt will just be powder. That print will probably still be laying on the ground. Well, we get spoiled by that incredible washability you get with screen printing plastisol inks and other types of decorations too that are just virtually permanent on there. But water-based onto polyester, it's a difficult proposition. And Jay, could I talk a little bit about why?
Yeah, I was just going to say, maybe I could get you to you know, either talk about the process that we tried or why those two sometimes are not a good match.
Well, here's the deal. And I have the same conversation when I do my screen printing classes. And because, you know, we talk about printing on 100% cotton, and then we talk about printing on 50/50s even. And I have to give the explanation of, you know, when cotton is dyed, the dye absorbs into the cotton and it's never going anywhere. When polyester is dyed, the dye stays on top of the threads. So under heat, that dye will release into the ink, and that beautiful white print you will have on a 50/50 garment, when it comes out of our dryer as a screen printer, all of a sudden that print is pink. And why is that? Because the dye from the polyester released from the polyester. It's called dye migration. And many folks listening right now have heard that term. Dye migration basically means dye releasing from the polyester threads and dissipating or floating into the ink. And there's all kinds of fixes to that, you know, with low bleed inks and with keeping your temperature at the maximum curing, but not a degree above that. And it's the same for us with direct to garment printing. You know, we can get that print on a shirt and it can be beautiful, but that ink still has to get to about 340 degrees to cure properly. And what we're talking about is not just dried to the touch, but so that you can wash that garment. The higher that temperature gets, the more the dye migration happens. And when we talk about something like 100% polyester, these performance wear garments,
right.
That's all dye migration. Screen printers had the exact same issue. Screen printing ink now, you can buy an additive or a screen printing ink that's low temperature ink. It cures at 275 degrees. That was the solution for the screen printer. We don't really have that option with direct to garment printing specifically. Now we've got some workarounds, but the whole gist of this, and you know, some people are confused by it all. It's not because the fabric's going to melt. It's because of the dyeing process before you ever saw that garment. So dye migration, that's the term you want to remember.
And Terry, if this isn't, you know, more truth to that concept is I faced that same challenge with specialty heat applied materials. So when I was doing
Exactly.
names and numbers with cut vinyl and then trying to get them onto baseball jerseys or football jerseys, I had the same challenge. I had, maroon dye releasing into this white, cut vinyl. And it drove you bananas, you just were like,
Or you're doing a quantity of them and you stack them up, and it pulls the dye from the shirt on top of it. So all of a sudden that
right.
number, how's the one on top white and all the rest of them are kind of like a light maroon?
Yeah, and they're
Well,
inconsistent and some are worse than others. So we're familiar with that challenge. But I would appreciate it if you could maybe give us also well, we did it and we tried it. How did we actually, even though it wasn't very and you'll probably speak to this, it wasn't a production oriented process, but if
right.
I wanted to do it, just say for giggles, for kicks, because I have to do two of them, what would I do? What should I do with my DTG printer if I'm trying to do it? Is there a step-by-step
Yeah.
you could give me?
Absolutely. And 2 of them is a great number. 20 of them, not so much. But but here's what
How much time do we have? Let's establish that.
Well, we sidestepped the polyester pre-treat because polyester pre-treat requires some other things that you have to like rinse the fabric after you're done and things like that to get the chemicals out of the garment that basically are staining the garment. So we sidestep polyester pre-treat right from the start, and we use regular pre-treat that we would use on 100% cotton Dart garment. So your standard pre-treat and whatever brand, and specifically we use the Epson brand pre-treat because we sell Epson printers. What we did was we pre-treated the shirt, dried it in our heat press, pre-treated it a second time, dried it in our heat press. Then we printed it just like we would a normal, say, a navy shirt. If it's a navy 100% polyester, we printed it with our white underbase and came back on top and printed our color just like we would normally do. That garment looks perfect at this point. So then depending on the amount of ink coverage, we might let it air dry a little. Sometimes folks will put it on their heat press and they'll hover. I'll give you a little inside baseball tip on this though. Hovering generates very little heat. Heat presses are contact heat sources, which means if it's set at 340 degrees, the only time that garment gets to 340 degrees is when the heat press is touching it. It radiates a little bit of heat, but hold your hand close to your heat press. You're not going to feel very much heat. It's a contact heat source. So you can achieve the same thing by setting that shirt on a table next to you for a couple of minutes and then putting it on your heat press. So we already
and let me jump in. Some of the water in the ink might start to evaporate. That's kind of why we're letting it sit there for a minute.
exactly what we're allowing.
Okay.
Yeah, the hover or sitting on the table, basically it's the same effect. All you're doing is allowing that ink to start to air dry. And by air drying, just like you said, Jay, we are allowing the water to start to evaporate, because in the end, that's how we cure water-based ink. We evaporate all the water from the ink. That's how the curing process works, as opposed to, again, screen printing, where you're setting that plastic film up at 320 degrees without going into any more detail. But
right.
So now we know that if we hit that garment with 340 degrees, we're going to have horrendous dye migration. So what we do is just like a screen printer, my last screen print reference, we're going to crank back to 275 degrees, and we're going to start to heat press at just like always at a very, very light pressure, just so it just kisses that garment. We're going to do that for 45 seconds. We're going to open up the heat press and allow some of that moisture to dissipate. We're going to hit it again, 275 degrees for 45 seconds. We're going to open up that heat press, let some of that moisture dissipate, hit it the third time, 275 degrees for 45 seconds. We are going to have an acceptable print. Is it going to be as bright as a 100% cotton ring spun t-shirt? It's not. Is it going to be acceptable to your customer? Probably. Then we're going to, wash that garment. A typical DTG printed 100% cotton garment, or say an 80-20 blend, 80% cotton, 20% poly.
Mhm.
That's going to get 50 plus washings before you see any degradation of that ink. You're probably not going to get that type of washability with a 100% polyester shirt, no matter how much care you take in that process. So, again, so when we think about this production wise, and Jay, you and I are old time production guys, we see something like this happening and our heads are exploding because production time is finite. There's only so many hours in the day. There's only so many hours we have on our press or on our heat press or on our printer. So it is an extended process for an acceptable or semi-acceptable finished product. So the person out there who's doing this decorating has to make that decision. And Jay, I talk to people who say, well, I talked to so-and-so, Jim over at XYZ Printing, and he says he prints polyester all the time. And my question is always, did you see the shirts? Did he send you a picture? What might be acceptable to you may not be acceptable to the next person. And so maybe Jim,
or vice versa. Jim might.
Yeah. And so maybe he got to a point where he said, well, this is finally, after going through 100 shirts, looking pretty good. And for my customer, pretty good's okay. And that's the world we live in, right? I mean, if we could in fact walk down the street in New York City today, we could buy 3 t-shirts for $10. Is that the same product that any of us would probably want to produce? Probably not. We don't want to sell a product that's going to shrink to half its size in the first washing. It's the same here. Is it acceptable for your customer to sell this product? So
that's such a great point. I'm glad you spent a little extra time on that, because oftentimes new business owners get excited about the process and they're kind of not keeping their eye on the profit. They're because it's possible doesn't mean it's profitable. And I've heard you say that so many times that I've just incorporated that into this discussion. Yes, it's possible on a DTG printer. We found it not to be two things: one, profitable, and the longevity or the long-term washability is not something that I could guarantee. I've been at this a long time, and if I have clients who bring back t-shirts after the third wash and say, I want my money back, or hey, little Jimmy's t-shirt, it all came off, I can't stop my entire business to deal with that.
Or the customer that never comes back. And because they weren't satisfied with what you sold to them, and they've just now disappeared forever without a word. And that's more common than not. I mean, most people are not going to call you up and say, hey, I'm very disappointed in you. Do you want to make this right? No, they're just gonna ghost you. They're gonna just disappear
or torch you online. But that's hopefully
well, there's
not.
That too.
But hopefully not. But it's so smart of you to have
said. If you're selling polyester to someone, ask them first if they do a lot of Yelp reviews. If they say yes, oh no, we don't do that. Sorry, Jay, I interrupted you.
No, that's funny. That's funny. I appreciate that. So I love the fact that you brought up the what I call the but this company, XYZ company, I'm just going to use a name. I'm just going to say, but Kornit says they do it and it's no problem, or somebody else, right? I'm not picking on Kornit, but others say they do this and they have this process, but they may have a completely different process that you're not aware of too.
Yeah, and the Kornits of the world, and we rarely compare ourselves with them because their pricing of their equipment is at such an extreme compared to what I would think the mainstream DTG marketplace is. And yes, they've had some success with polyester, but it is not foolproof as well. The use of those inks is a little finicky for them. And to the other extreme, where you have you have manufacturers who say, my more mainstream price machine, you can do polyester. Some of those machines, let's just be frank, Jay, if it's a converted over paper printer, you have more problems than printing on polyester. You're lucky to keep a converted over paper printer running, printing white t-shirts, much less printing on black 100% polyester. So, don't be blinded by the fact that someone says, Oh, yes, absolutely. You can do it on our machine. By the way, they use the exact same process: pre-treat, cure, cure, cure.
Yeah, right,
So,
right. And
and and my comment on that is always, can you do it? I mean, if somebody asked me at a trade show, I always say, can you do it? Yes. Should you? Probably not,
right.
because you could make so much more money printing 100% cotton or high cotton content blends over and over and over again than getting in a wrestling match with polyester.
Mhm.
So, I used to say, Jay, for I do the Two Regular Guys podcast, and we always do predictions for the following year. And one of my predictions for the last several years was, this is the year there's going to be a polyester pre-treat that's going to make this process work. That's no longer on my list. I don't think it's around the corner. I really don't.
Well, I appreciate that, and I think it's insightful, and it's honest. And for those folks, Terry, that say, "Well, all I do is 100% polyester," right?
Well,
Then what? What do we tell them?
Well, I've had that customer come up to me, and when they say, how much is the machine? We had this conversation, and I say, well, what is it you want to do with the machine? What's your marketplace? What are you doing now, or what are you planning to do? And when a gentleman said to me, all we do are kids' athletic uniforms, my response is, DTG is not for you, because almost all of those products are 100% polyester, and it's just not a practical method for decorating. Now, that said, if I'm a DTG operator, that I do 100% cotton, I do some blends, I do some tri blends. Let's talk tri blends at one of these shows. We love tri blends. We were talking All Made Apparel early on,
Right.
and All Made Apparel tri blend shirts, the water bottle shirts, as people try when they can't remember the name All Made, the water bottle people. We printed dozens of those at trade shows when All Made was across the aisle from them. They printed beautifully. So there are some opportunities for different types of garments, but we have some options if that person says, well, I just have the occasional customer that wants polyester. Do you guys have a solution for it?
Right. And so what do we say?
Well, our solution is direct to film now, and we haven't made a big push on this, because we at Equipment Zone, just like when all the polyester pre-treat came out, we tested and tested and tested, and then we tested some more. We've been doing the same with direct to film, and people, that's the big buzz in the industry, direct to film. And for anybody who doesn't know, it's basically printing a reverse image on a sheet of film. And by reverse, I mean print your CMYK, then you print your white on top of that. And just like I'm going to say screen printing again, just like when we as screen printers used to make screen printed transfers, you drag it through an adhesive powder, and this is basically the same process. Then you dry it, and you could dry it on a conveyor dryer. You can hover for quite a while to dry it, but use a heat gun to dry it. But once that's dry, then you heat apply it and peel that carrier sheet away, and you've got a transfer. Well, you can do that with an Epson F2100. You can do it with an Epson F2000. You can do it with an Epson F3070. And I'm just going to say to you, though, if 100% of what you do is polyester, I'm going to find a technique that's more suited to volume, to production. Right. But if I have the occasional order for 100% polyester, we basically are putting a kit together with software that automatically reverses your images and reverses the print order. And I can make these transfers and print on polyester. And Jay, as you well know, we've been wash testing and getting really, really good results. So we do have that option. It will be readily available within probably a week or two, to be honest. And we're just putting the final package together. But for any of our customers out there who say, well, I've got, I need to do 10 poly shirts for a customer, this is a viable solution. The prints look bright and they're washing well. So that I would much rather people go that route than to really fight and struggle trying to get a direct print onto polyester and get it cured properly, and fingers crossed it washes properly. Because here's the difference, Jay, also. Well, why will the ink not wash well if I print it directly as opposed to if I do a direct to film? Because that direct to film, we are applying dry adhesive to that wet ink. And when it goes on the shirt, that dry adhesive activates, it basically melts, and it's holding that ink onto the surface of the garment. So that's why one works and one doesn't work as well.
Yeah, truly a breakthrough. We're excited about that. We'll keep you posted for those of you who are listening and can't wait. I'm sure Terry's inbox is going to be blowing up now that folks, you kind of let the cat out of the bag, Terry. Let's be honest.
I know. And I was a little premature in doing that. So, hey, sorry everybody over there.
Yeah, it could still be a couple weeks out, but we are truly genuinely excited about the process and about offering that solution to our clients and others. So, glad that some of you are, already, hitting the chat box saying, hey, we're excited about this. We want to know more. We'll let you know more. There will be a rollout of this product launch, and we'll have some videos to go with it, I'm sure. But for now,
I imagine we'll probably do a webinar as well, showing that process and how it works.
Absolutely. Well, Terry, I don't know if there's anything else. I think this was a great discussion. I appreciate the series, again, asking the DTG expert, Terry Combs, talking about real world situations, real production, where the pitfalls are, where the challenges and the friction and the rub might be, how to sometimes get around it, and how to other times just say, not for me, right? Like for my business, I would pass on that. I would say, not going to work for what I'm trying to accomplish. And yet for others, it might be an option. So we try to keep the door open and keep our eyes open and keep an open mind. Like you said, you've been predicting for several years now a better pre-treatment solution for poly, and maybe that'll change. We don't know, but from what we're seeing and where we stand, these are the best solutions that we know. Would you agree with that statement?
100%. And we're Jay, we're not trying to dissuade anybody from getting out there and experimenting and trying some new things. And we are all about hearing about your successes in that situation. But let's bear in mind, use the technology to what it's best suited for. When I can just print 100% cotton shirt after 100% cotton shirt and make $15 or $20 on every shirt that I sell. I personally, as a production guy, I don't want to waste my time on a process that's going to make me a little bit of money and possibly lose me a customer or two as well.
Yeah, agreed. No, that's wisdom. That right there is old school wisdom. And I mean that in a positive sense, Terry, as a veteran of the process. So
old school and veteran, the same sentence. Look at you.
Well, we've come to a close. Unless there's anything, Terry, that you need to add or any comments that you want to respond to in the chat, I think we've covered the topic well today. Thank you.
Fantastic. That sounds great. I'm ready to do this again on Thursday.
I love it. So let me share my screen. We'll go back to this for just a second, and so folks can see. Of course, we're grateful for everyone who tuned in, but as you know, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's where all of these great videos land and where they go to live a healthy life, where you can watch this process again, watch Terry make jokes, and of course, share wisdom. So it's not all about the jokes. But we appreciate the process, and we appreciate those who tuned in, and anyone who wants to watch any of our other previous Ask the Expert series. The DTG expert is in the house. Terry, before I go, there was one person over there that raised their hand. If you want to check that out and see if there was a comment that we could wrap up on. If not, this is the key contact information, so folks can get in touch with us at Equipment Zone, specifically Terry's email, and our other sales team, Jeff Baxter, Amy Krulowitz. Terry, was there anything to add before
Jay, I'm not seeing another question other than I'm interested in the transfer process, unless you're seeing a question I'm not.
No, that's great. Okay, just we've already kind of covered that, so we're really wrapped up then, I would say.
Okay.
So let's say goodbye for now. Thanks everybody for tuning in. This is Jay and Terry, the Equipment Zone guys. It sounds like I'm going to say the two regular guys, but I'm not.
.com. The number 2.
But yeah, no, that's another show. But we do appreciate you and our customers, and those who are not yet our customers, for tuning in today. And we look forward to future conversations. So pay attention. Look in your inbox for emails and announcements from Equipment Zone. And otherwise, I'll say goodbye for now. Thanks, everybody.
Fantastic. Bye-bye.